After Moses' death, the desert went silent. The people were lost, staring at the horizon for direction. But God never leaves his plan unfinished. He called Joshua and said, "As I was with Moses, I will be with you." That voice pierced fear and lit courage. The desert ended, but a new journey began, that of an ordinary man guided by an eternal promise. Joshua felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Thousands of lives depended on his faith. Those people had seen miracles, but also learned to doubt. Now he would be the instrument to lead them to the promise. Faith sometimes means staying silent before doubt. And Joshua learned that leadership isn't about power. It's about trusting God, even without answers. Before them, the Jordan River blocked the path. But God said, "Tell the priests to step forward." When their feet touched the water, the impossible happened. The river stopped, and the people crossed on dry ground. Each step was a living reminder. God's promises may seem distant, but his timing never fails. He just waits for the right moment. After crossing the Jordan, they saw Jericho, an unbreakable fortress, towering walls, iron gates, guards on every tower. The city seemed to laugh at them, a small crowd from the desert. But God doesn't measure strength by army size. He measures by the heart's willingness. And when the people stayed silent, heaven began to prepare the sound of victory. God spoke to Joshua, "You will march around the city once a day for 6 days, and on the 7th day 7 times, then blow the trumpets." It was a plan that made no sense to any soldier, but faith doesn't live by logic. It lives by trust. Joshua didn't argue, he simply obeyed. Because those who know God's voice know that obedience is stronger than battle. The sun was rising when the sound of trumpets cut through the air. The people began to walk. No words, no murmurs, only the sound of feet on sand. From the top of the walls, enemies mocked. But heaven smiled, because that's when the miracle began. Faith doesn't need noise, it just needs to keep moving. Keep. For 6 days the people marched. Nothing changed. No stones moved. But with each round, their hearts grew stronger. True faith isn't born from haste. It grows from consistency. And while the walls stood tall, God was building something greater. A people able to believe without seeing. On the 7th day, Joshua rose before sunrise. The air felt different, a strange peace in the silence. He looked at the people and said, "Today the Lord will give us Jericho." The trumpets echoed, once, twice, 7 times around, and then an entire nation's heartbeat aligned with faith. When the last trumpet blast tore through the sky, Joshua shouted, "Shout, for the Lord has given you this city." The sound rolled like thunder. Voices rose with heavenly strength. The ground trembled, and the walls began to crack. The impossible bowed before obedience. What man builds to protect himself, God breaks to set him free. The stones began to fall, one after another. Dust rose, wind roared, and silence turned into cries of victory. Jericho, the city that seemed invincible, bowed before the faith of a people. No swords were lifted, no battle was fought. Victory was born from hearts that believed. Between trumpet sound and dust, the impossible fell before God. Jericho wasn't just a city, it was the symbol of everything that tries to stop us: fear, doubt, pride, insecurity. The walls didn't fall by strength, they fell because faith conquered fear. And sometimes, before God breaks the walls around us, He breaks the ones within us, the invisible walls that keep miracles out. Maybe you've been marching for days too, doing everything right but seeing nothing change. Heaven seems silent, faith feels tired, but God is never still. While you march, He's moving the unseen. And when the right time comes, the walls will fall, not by your strength, but by your trust. Joshua didn't question the plan, he just obeyed. And obedience opened space for God's power to act. Each step was a silent prayer. Each round a declaration of faith. Victory wasn't won by human strategy, but by surrendered hearts. Because faith that obeys without understanding is the faith that moves the impossible. Before the fall of the walls, there were days of silence. And waiting is always the ground where God plants maturity. The people learned that miracles aren't events, they're processes of trust. The marches around the city weren't wasted time, they were training. God didn't just want to break walls, He wanted to build faith. When Jericho fell, it wasn't just a military victory. It was the birth of a new people, a people who learned that faith is obedience in motion. And even today, the sound of trumpets echoes through time, reminding us that God still breaks walls. He still turns the impossible into testimony and fear into worship, because this is the God effect. If this story touched your heart, share it. Someone needs to remember that God still breaks walls. Write in the comments, "Lord, break the walls in my life," and subscribe to the God Effect channel to keep watching stories that prove that when faith marches, the miracle answers.